Hey, what's up guys? This is Nick at Stridewise.com. Today I'm taking a look at the Jack 2 boot from Dana. So Dana Boots is an enormously popular footwear company. They're based in Oregon. They were founded in Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin, which is the same place where Chippewa Boot Company was founded as well. So they started back in 1932, but eventually a few years later they moved out to Oregon and they became really well known for their hiking shoes. But they've also branched out into nicer leather boots like the Jack 2 boot here, which a lot of people have asked me to review. I went with the brogued version here just for something a bit different, but all of the Jack 2 boots had the same construction. So let's take a closer look. Now the first thing I thought when I got these boots was I was amazed at how much they look like Chuck Taylor sneakers. Check it out. They both have a lot of similarities. Both shoes have the toe cap. They have a pretty round toe. They've got these very open lacing. They've got these flat laces. And also, they're both very flat in the sole. I mean, the Chuck Taylors obviously are completely flat, but these boots are still very flat for a pair of boots. Like they're just 4.5 inches high. Most boots are like 6 inches. And the heel is very low as well, which is a really welcome change. I mean, I obviously really like boots, but the least favorite thing for boots, for me anyway, is that they all have a relatively high heel, which is not great for ankle mobility when you're walking around, especially if like lifting or playing sports is important to you. So it was a very welcome change. They're also pretty lightweight as well. So in a lot of ways, they work quite a lot like sneakers. But of course, the leather is nothing like a pair of sneakers. So let's take a closer look at that. So the leather used for these boots is full grain leather. So it's made from the top layer of the animal's hide. And it comes from Horween Leather Company, which is probably the most beloved leather company in America, at least when it comes to boots like these. Now, Dana calls this their premium leather, and they couldn't tell me anything about how it's been tanned. They just didn't know. But they did tell me that it goes through, quote, quite the selection process. But honestly, I don't really know about that. Like, check out this discoloration, man. This happened pretty much instantaneously. If you check out this picture that I took, literally 20 minutes after putting them on, you can see what I mean. So I don't know, this leather is so-so in my opinion. Now, as for taking care of this leather, Dana actually has their own leather conditioner called Boot Dressing, and it's available in a bunch of different colors as well. You can get it in brown, you can also get it in clear if you're like really worried about potential discoloration or anything like that. With boots that are this finicky, that are able to crease so easily, it might not be a bad idea to get the brown one instead. That could help with that discoloration. And another thing I would want to point out is that it's not a bad idea to use a horsehair brush as well, just to get rid of the dust normally, like every day when you're wearing these, but also to buff it out after you've applied that leather dressing, because when you're buffing with a horsehair brush, it can help to push the conditioner a bit deeper into the pores of the leather because horsehair is so fine. But also because when you're buffing it, that can sort of heat up the leather a little bit, which can help to move around the oils and greases inside the leather. And that can sometimes help with like, you know, finicky leather like this. So that's like my pro tip. I'm not saying that's a guarantee, but that could help. So this is not your classic Goodyear welted boot. The outsole is rubber and it has a fiberglass shank and there is no midsole. It's really just a stitch down. They call it a 270 stitch construction, which made me think it was like a 270-degree Goodyear welt. But that's not the case. They actually just literally have 270 stitches attaching the upper to the sole. So it's a stitch down welt with no midsole, so it is not that water resistant, but it is very flexible and lightweight. And again, it's very flat as well, which I really liked. Part of that probably has to do with my foot's muscle memory or something, because if I'm not wearing boots, I'm wearing Chuck Taylors pretty much 100% of the time. And the shock absorption was also very good for these shoes, which I was a bit surprised by because, you know, it has such a thin sole and there's no midsole, but it's probably because in addition to the rubber heel, the footbed is polyurethane. However, I do need to point out that the rubber sole started peeling pretty fast after I started wearing these. So in general, these shoes just age pretty fast. So right now the sizes for these boots run from sizes 7 through 13. That can always change. And I found they fit pretty true to size. I'm an 11.5 in these boots. Most of my boots are a size 11 because boot companies really like to run large for some reason, but these are 11.5 and it was fine. But what's really weird about these boots is that they're only available in one width, which is double E, which is extra wide. But I didn't actually have any issues with the width. I think it's because I think A, is probably closer to just an E width actually. And B, it's a pretty lightweight shoe anyway. The leather isn't that thick. It's relatively flexible as well. So I didn't really feel like my foot needed that much support within this boot. So the width wasn't really a big deal. And honestly, it didn't feel very wide at all. As for what it's like wearing these around town, again, it's pretty lightweight, pretty flexible. The shock absorption is actually surprisingly good for this like little heel here. And it's got a very little heel, which, as I mentioned before, was just such a nice change, a nice welcome change from all these other boots that I have. Even boots that I absolutely adore, I'm still never that crazy about like how tight they make my heels. I can't imagine what it would be like to wear high heels every day for a woman. But I really like these shoes. They are pretty close to a sneaker in a lot of ways, but also aesthetically, they're also pretty close to a sneaker. So some people might not like that part of the boot. So as the price, this can always change, of course, but right now these are about $220, and with tax and everything, it was $240. So that price was expected. It would be pretty weird for a boot like this to be more expensive than that, to be honest. So I wasn't too appalled by the price, but still, given this discoloration, the leather and everything, and how quickly that happened, I was still not that crazy about the price, to be honest. All right, so what did I like about the Jack 2 boots? They're pretty lightweight, they're relatively flexible. The grip is pretty decent. It's got this nice low heel, and the shock absorption is pretty good as well. So all in all, my favorite thing about this boot, I gotta say, is probably the comfort. Like walking around in these, it's not exactly like a sneaker. There's like an EVA comfort strip in there or something like that. But still, it's nice. It's got a low profile, and walking around in it, it's closer to my Converse shoes than most of my other boots, if not all of them. So that's a welcome change for me. Now, I did have some complaints with these shoes. They're not Goodyear welted, and they're not water resistant, so don't expect them to have hiking boot-like qualities just because they come from Dana. Like, these aren't gonna do very well outside at all. Some QC issues. Again, the leather changed color within like a half hour of wearing these. That was like pretty annoying. The sole is starting to come off at the front of the boot as well, like I mentioned. It's not dramatically so, but it is indeed peeling, and that happened within a few days as well, which I didn't love. And they're also just kind of weird looking shoes. I mean, look at these shoes. You can't really wear them with a t-shirt, but they're not really nice enough. Like, they're still a bit too sneaker-like to dress up. So they're not the most versatile shoes. They're sort of trying to be everything, and they wind up not really being anything. So just aesthetically, it's a bit hard to know when to wear these shoes. All right, that's everything I thought about Dana's Jack 2 boots. The full written review is in the description below, and make sure you subscribe because I have a whole lot more boot reviews and comparisons coming up.